Hello friends, this is Shamul here. Today is my favorite subject, climate, environment, climate change research studies, simulation modeling. So I've been working on few models and what we are observing today last 50 60 years, the unprecedented way what is happening in climate. There are so much destruction that is happening, so much abnormal things what is happening because of global warming. So, whether this global warming or climate change is real or not, we are still debating. I really wonder whether there is any question of debating or not. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat what is facing our entire species. We need to work collectively together. So, friends, probably we are not realizing one thing leads to other. Deforestation leads to climate change, which leads to ecosystem losses, which negatively impacts our livelihood. It's a vicious cycle. This has been told by great people, great activists. I have nothing to talk about. The climate change is the greatest threat to our existence in our short history on the planet. Nobody is going to buy their way out of its effects, right? Uh, there are many issues what is going on. It is important for me to have hope because that's my job as a parent to have hope for my kids that we are not going to leave them in a world that is in shambles. That's a chaotic place. That's a dangerous place. This is not my statement. This is James Cameron, the great film director, is talking about. So, again, there are many celebrities, many personalities from different various fields they talked about. I have started a lot of science fiction movies, and let me tell you something, climate change is not a science fiction. This is a real battle in the real world. It's impacting us right now. So let's double down on solar energy. Let's be more energy efficient. Let's our home we can build a better, healthier economy based on good paying clean energy jobs. So that is kind of a solution we are talking about. So now we don't have time to sit in our hands as our planet burns. For young people, climate change is bigger than election or re-election. It's life or death. But nobody is understanding that part. By polluting the ocean, not mitigating CO2 emissions, and destroying our biodiversity, we are killing our planet. Let's face it, there is no planet B, so we need to really look into the issues, right? This is again spoken by the president of France. So, Emmanuel Macron, it is not my speech. Or so, friends, there are a lot of great speaker, great politician. They are talking about there is an urgent need for getting into our act how to reduce the pollution level, how to counter whatever things are happening, global warming, your CO2 level increasing, your ozone level increasing, what are the impact. There are so much research that is gone into this thing. But what is the real story? Let's understand the real story or real story behind what is the policies, who are doing this, those policies, and how those policies are impacting this global warming, you will understand this part. Before that, let me tell you few things. That world is reaching the tipping point beyond which climate change may become any kind of irreversible. If this happens, we risk denying present and future generation the right to a healthy and sustainable planet. The whole of humanity stand to lose. Again, this is not my statement. This is Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of UN. So, friends, another great person, former Secretary General of UN, Ban Ki-moon, is talking about climate change is a single greatest threat to a sustainable future, but at the same time, addressing climate change presents a golden opportunity to promote prosperity, security, and brightest future for all. What about the religious leader is talking about? So what Pope Francis is talking about, the time for seeking global solution is running out. We can find suitable solution only if we act together and in agreement. So what he was talking about again, Desmond Tutu, former Bishop of Cape Town, 25 years ago, people could be excused for not knowing much or doing much about climate change. Today, we have no excuses. Those are great statements. So, another great academic and environmental broadcaster, David Suzuki, pollution and climate change by excessive burning of fossil fuels are real threats, not the people who warn that we must take these threats seriously. Everybody is talking about seriousness. I want to come back to the Nobel laureate, two Nobel Prize winner who have got Nobel Prize on climate change studies. That is what my intention to come over here, how the policy framing is taking place, who is responsible. Here you can see everybody is talking about this is a global warming is a real threat. Those are the things in the different voices, individual voices coming or political voices coming from many directions. So I am going to talk about two Nobel Prize winner on climate change studies and research. Before starting my Nobel Prize winning part, who got and what purpose they have got the Nobel Prize, I want to take or read out few statements from Stephen Hawking, the physicist and author. What he's talking about, one can see from space how the human race has changed the earth. Nearly all the available land has been cleared of forest and is now used for agriculture or urban development. The polar ice caps are shrinking and the deserts are increasing. At right, the earth is no longer dark. Large areas are lit up, and all of this is the evidence that human exploitation of the planet is reaching a critical limit. But human demands and expectation are ever increasing. We cannot continue to pollute the atmosphere, poison the ocean, and exhaust the land. There is not any more available. This is the statement from Stephen Hawking. So, 17 years old Greta Thunberg, all you know, the Swedish activist, was he's talking about. Adults keep saying we owe it to the young people to give them hope, but I don't want your hope. I don't want you to be hopeful. I want you to panic. I want you to feel the fear I feel every day. I want you to act. I want you to act as you would in a crisis. I want you to act as if the house is in on fire, because it is. Friends, I want to now come back to the Nobel Prize part. In 2007 and 2018, there are two Nobel Prize that is given to two different sets of intellectual minds. Whichever way you want to take it, you can take it. But what is transfer between two things, that is what I want to convey. In 2007, that Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that is IPCC, and Albert Arnold Gore Jr., popularly known as Al Gore, okay, has been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for their efforts to build up and disseminate greater knowledge about man-made climate change and to lay the foundation for the measures are needed immediate action to control the global warming and other issues. So, this Nobel Peace Prize for 2007, this Nobel Committee decided that the prize is to be shared in two equal parts between the IPCC and Al Gore. The committee is hereby seeking to contribute to a sharper focus on the processes and the decisions that appear to be necessary to protect the world's future climate and hereby to reduce the threat to the security of mankind. Through its scientific reports, the IPCC has created an ever broader informed conscious about the connection between human activities and global warming. Thousands of scientists and officials from over 100 countries have collaborated this to achieve greater certainty as to the scale of the warning. Al Gore has for a long time been one of the world's leading environmentalist politicians. He is probably the single individual who has done most to create greater worldwide understanding of the measures that need to be adopted. What is Al Gore is talking about? The earth has a rising fever and it will not hit by itself. So the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize see a link between the risk of accelerating climate change and the risk of violent conflict and war. The Nobel Committee also sees interrelation between nature, environment, war and conflict, and said the environmental problems certainly affect human security. The chief threat may be direct violence but deaths may also have less direct sources in starvation, disease, or natural disasters. Global warming not only has negative consequences for human security but can also fuel violence and conflict within and between states. So, the climate change will have several implications as numerous adverse impacts are expected for some population in terms of areas to clean water, access to sufficient food, stable health condition, ecosystem resources, security of settlements. So whatever suggestion and this IPCC and Al Gore matter is fine. There is nothing wrong what they are talking about. But now I am going to take you 2018 Nobel Prize, that is after 10 years another climate change Nobel Prize in economics, that is this is in peace, another is in economics. So what are the changes? That is what I want to tell you. In 2018 Nobel Prize in Economics, economical science, it goes to the economist William Nordhaus for his research on global warming that has been hugely influential and entirely misguided one. That is what it is talking about. This Nobel Prize is very controversial. So many people were thrilled when they heard that the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economics in 2018 went to William Nordhaus of Yale University, a man known for his work on climate change. Finally, the economics profession is giving climate change the attention it deserves. Just as the world is waking up to the severity of our ecological emergency, media outlets have been taken this positive narrative and run with it. But while Nordhaus may be revered among economists, climate scientists, and ecologists have a very different opinion on his legacy. In fact, many believe that the failure of the world's government to pursue aggressive climate action on the past few decades in the large part of due to arguments that Nordhaus had advanced, right, in a blazing controversy that hinges on single most consequential issue in climate economics, the question of growth. The stakes could not be higher. After all, it is just a matter of abstract academic debate. The future of human civilization hangs in the balance. So let us understand what his Nobel Prize is all about, what is his theory and what he is proposing. Let's understand that part. In 1990s, what Nordhaus is talking about the first integrated assessment models to explore how economic growth affects carbon emission and how climate change in turn affects economic growth. The basic mechanism that Nordhaus described continue to inform the models that the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, that is IPCC, uses today. No one disputes that this qualifies a significant contribution to the field. The question rather has to do with how Nordhaus has used this model to argue for a particular policy agenda. The model showed that if we are rapidly reduce carbon emission in line with what scientists say is necessary to avoid climate breakdown by putting a high tax on carbon, for instance, it could be significantly slow down the rate of economic growth. As far as scientists are concerned, that's not a problem. It would obviously do whatever it takes to avoid climate catastrophe. But our economists like Nordhaus, this is not acceptable. After all, the whole point of non-classical economics is to do whatever it takes to grow economic output. So Nordhaus' career has been devoted to finding what he calls a balance between climate mitigation and the GDP growth. So in his famous paper 1991, to show or not to show, he argued firmly for the latter opinion. Let's not be too eager to slow down global warming because we don't want to jeopardize growth. To justify what I was talking about, Nordhaus claimed that 3 degrees centigrade of warming would reduce global GDP by just 2.1% compared to what it would be in the total absence of climate change, and even 6-degree increase in global temperature, he claimed, would reduce GDP just 8.5%. So Nordhaus celebrated work and the Nobel Prize, and as per the Nobel Committee, has brought us considerably closer to answering the question of how we can achieve sustained and sustainable global economic growth. Gives government a reason to give climate change a low priority. So whether this is good or bad, that has to be understood. His estimates imply that the cost of addressing climate change exceeded the benefits until global warming reaches 4 degrees centigrade, and that's a mild carbon tax will be sufficient to subsidize temperature at this level at one overall cost of less than 4% GDP in 120 years time. Unfortunately, these numbers are based on empirical estimates that are most merely wrong but irrelevant. Nordhaus and about 20 like-minded economists used two main methods to derive sanguine estimates of economic consequences of climate change: the enumerate method, what you call enumerative method, and the statistical method. But my research shows neither stand up to the scrutiny. The enumerative method, in this enumerative method, to quote neoclassical climate change economist Richard Tolles, estimates that the physical effects of climate change are obtained 1 by one from Natural Science paper and added up. This sounds reasonable until you realize that the way this method has been deployed ignores industries that account for 87% of GDP. One of the assumptions that they are undertaken in carefully controlled environmental and will not be directly affected by climate change. So, in my opinion, or the others, what is talking about the Nobel Prize winning in economics in 2018 on climate change is very misleading and dangerous. And this is why this has been explained over here. And is very kind of misleading because of the global temperature what is talking about. First, in one head is talking about you do industrialization, even your temperature is rising, it is not affecting GDP much. So keep on doing industrialization and keeping doing all kind of emission dangerous gas, you release it. That is what one is proposing. And paying the carbon tax, you get away paying just simple carbon tax. This is a kind of very misleading and dangerous for anybody to understand that part. If your temperature is rising 6 to 7 degree and he is talking about the GDP, how to counter 6 to 7 degree temperature if these things are really happening? Okay, this is what my understanding is not clear, being whatever I have little knowledge on climate change research and simulation model. This is not a sustainable solution. He is not giving any kind of sustainable solution, and is theoretically and statistically is trying to prove 100 200 years of data and try to give a justification that you keep on doing the industrialization. The reason those mistakes are so significant is that despite the flawed assumptions on which it is based, this work has been taken seriously by politicians, as Norda's Nobel Prize recognizes. To those policy makers, a prediction of future levels of GDP is far easier to understand than unfamiliar concept like the visibility of the ecosystem. They have been misled by confronting new numbers that bear no relation to what climate change will in fact do to our economics. So friends, I talked about one Nobel Prize that is in the field of peace, that is Al Gore and IPCC. They have got in 2008 and 2018, that is in economics. There are contradictions over here, and that contradiction leading further policy making that is coming different countries, because they are influencing policy making, and probably it will have again cascade effect in coming days. That is what I want to convey, or want to understand that part, what is happening, those intellectual class what he's talking about. Similar way, the economic science Nobel Prize is given to many scientists. There are a lot of controversies over here, and there are a lot of intellectuals thinking about to scrap this economic science Nobel Prize, because those are the not actual Nobel Prize. First of all, these are influenced by the banks from Sweden. It's a bank prize number one. So finally, to counter global warming, few things are very important to make a kind of a sustainable model. for agriculture, for industry, where you have less pollution, and to counter global warming, to counter what is CO2 and other gas emission is taking place. Until or unless we are not able to have a kind of a sustainable model, these bad days are definitely going to knock our door. That is what I want to convey. Friends, I want to conclude by giving some big political minds who is talking about, a great scientist who is talking about, great economist who is talking about, and also the great industrialists who have already spoken about the global warming and the consequences. So I want to conclude the business leaders on climate change quotes, what they are talking about. What is Bill Gates is talking about, the founder of Microsoft. Climate change is a terrible problem and it is absolutely need to be solved. It deserves to be a huge priority. That is talking about the other personalities, Sir Richard Branson. Climate change is a huge challenge, but it can be brought in the line if governments, businesses, and individuals work together. So, what is Elon Musk is talking about, CEO of Tesla and SpaceX? We are running the most dangerous experiment in history right now, which is to see how much carbon dioxide the atmosphere can handle before there is an environmental catastrophe. So finally, Earth is a fine place and worth fighting for. I want to conclude by saying, this is a great statement by Ernest Hemingway, the author. So now you think what to do, what not to do. Thank you very much for listening this 32 minutes video. Hope you'll enjoy it. Take care and do whatever you can do to save this Mother Earth. Thank you once again. Bye bye.